You know someone who was always jealous of? People that had Pokemon OCs. Specific, I know, but like, Pokemon has always been very dear to me in my entire life. And boy, I sure love writing and pretend that I'm learning how to draw. Yet I could never actually commit to doing a Pokemon related thingy. Until now. I decided I would change that. I would travel through all the Pokemon regions I could and build myself a little story depending on the various happenings. I want to detail the things I've learned and experienced on this journey on my little YouTube channel. I also wanted to so that maybe someone somewhere would attempt this themselves. It's a ton of fun! So here's the deal how I envisioned it. First, I devised a line of my 6 favorite Pokemon. These will be the only Pokemon I'm allowed to use unless HM moves are restricted. There's also the issue of badges and disobedience. Since I'll be transferring my previous Pokemons a lot, we're still gonna run into this issue of, oh, I'm starting a Pokemon save file with level 80 or more Pokemon. If I'm in a position where none of my Pokemon can obey me, then I can either A. Just tough it up and play with disobedient Pokemon, or B. Play with Pokemon from the current game until I'm able to play with at least one Pokemon from my previous team, or, in the case of Colosseum in the XD, 2 Pokemon. Now, this isn't a ribbon master run, you know, that challenge when people try and get a Pokemon to have all of the ribbons it could have, or just all ribbons period, but I also want to get as much as I can, if only for the memory of getting them. I also want to experience all side activities I can, the Battle Frontier, the Pokeathlon, Pokemon World Tournament, the Pokewood, etc, etc. I want to make a ton of memories with my Pokemon basically, visit tons of regions, do tons of things, and yap all about it. So, what do you think our lucky goobers will be? The lineup as I first drafted it was such. Swampert, cause I love the Mudkip line to death. It's my favorite starter line, favorite water line, and collectively they're an entry to the coveted top 3 of Pokemons that could very well be my favorite. It honestly just depends on which day you ask me. Even though, to Mudkip and friends credit, they were the first to reach that status. Mudkip is a silly little goober that is just happily living his life without a single thought in his head, and I love him for that. Also fits nicely on the shoulder, which is nice. Swampert is cute in a tall weirdo kind of way, like it's not conventional cute, but it's extremely cute. He just vibes like a great friend. Now Marshtomp looks deranged to me. Unlike Mudkip, he has thoughts, but unlike Swampert, they probably include setting things on fire. But I still love him, sorry. Absol, oh, I'm notoriously insane about Absol. Fun fact, did you know Absol is a little black cat? And not any little black cat, but my little black cat. That's right, Absol is my emoji and I'm not sharing with any of you. These little fellas trying their best to warn us all of impending doom, and now they've gotten back in turn with scorn. Well, not anymore, they're my beloved, and have been ever since I've met them in Pokemon Sapphire as a little kid. Also the second member of the absolute favorite tiers. Shout out to Mega Absol to you. Arceus can be kind. Seeing people doesn't perceive Absol as the angel it absolutely is. They just straight up make them look like one. It's absolutely delightful, I want to hug them so bad, and they held the title of actual all-time favorite until playing Pokemon Y as a wee little thing. I found myself grabbing an Eevee, as I often do, as Eevee and the evolutions are some of my favorite Pokemon. In the process of trying to get an Umbreon, considering he was my favorite evolution back then, I got this full of ribbon fairy type cat, and yeah, there was love at first sight. For a reason not entirely determined, mind you, something about its shape, its colors, and the fact it uses its ribbon to read your emotions and soothe people. I don't know, I really connected with Sylveon and only grew more fascinated with him in time. As you may have guessed, he's the last member of the trio of Pokemon that live in my head around 3. And, as you will see soon, this is far from my only dabble in the fairy typing. Gallade. So, funny and sad story, as a kid, Gardevoir was actually my favorite of the 2, even though I did like both of them strongly. But, after hearing how weird people were over them and seeing some of the action myself, thanks guys, I was first Gene, I sort of stopped talking about Gardevoir and only recently owed up to it. Come on man, they're just so thankful for the care that trainer provided them, they're ready to create a fucking black hole to protect them at the expense of their life. If that isn't a top tier devotion, I don't know what it is. Gallade shows feet in the more physical side, standing up against injustice with its blade, and hey, I know I'm French, you get one musketeer joke, better make it count. Both Pokemon show strong devotion to protection, and I vibe with that. Both Megas are honestly cool and good and all of that, but when I started this challenge, Gallade is the one I chose. So Gallade it is, and I don't mind because I really like Gallade. Also, Iron Valiant is cool, like really cool. If they didn't have that sort of low-hanging fruit quality robot aesthetic, they'd be here. Just saying, I don't like the robot vibe, but Iron Valiant is such a cool concept, I love them. Meanwhile, there's less of an interesting story about Mawile, like as a fave of mine. I just like Mawile, it's a weird, goofy little gremlin, sometimes that's all you need, you know? They're lovely and cute, but I have to out myself a little bit. I only gave Mawile the time of day when someone told me about their Mega. I love both Base and Mega Mawile, don't get me wrong. Base has that silly goober energy, while Mega has a cooler vibe to it and also more centimeters. I don't know, I think I literally just missed Mawile last first playthroughs, plural, of Gen 3. Cause I liked Mawile as soon as I saw them later, so... I don't know, I can be weird sometimes. Point is, I love Mawile and Mega Mawile, and this turned out to be, retrospectively, another fairy fave of mine. Serperior, I think that's how it's pronounced. Damn, English is hard. Like Mudkip, this is an entire line deal. I love this smug little thing. I want to snuggle with them. Something about them impacted me. I don't usually like smug little things, but both him and Mawile got me. I have less commentary on the individual forms. I think they're on the same continuation, you know, they have the same quality to it. They're cute, they're beautiful, and god, they fucking know it. And that would be it. If it were not for the incident. See, as I was doing this challenge, a revelation was bestowed upon me. Poplio. And you see, Poplio is love. Poplio is life. I fucking love Poplio so much, it's unbelievable. Look at this silly little guy. He's a little sea lion, a little clown, a honker. They're like the mix between my old phase, which tend to be water types, and my new phase, which tend to be fairy types. It's like the quintessential me Pokemon. Rayon is silly too, like they look very expressive, and you can start seeing the prettification process start. And as we reach Primarina, that process has successfully finished, and look at them. They're such a gorgeous Pokemon, and I love them. I love them so much, in fact. I actually ended up preferring them to Serperior. I'm so sorry. I still love Serperior, mind you, but Poplio. So yeah, half fairy Pokemon. I wonder what that says about me. If I listened to my past self already back then, I'd even have more of them. I wonder if I could apply for a position at the gym. But yes, that is going to be our little cast. And now we only need to prepare our trip. So, as you can see, our OG lineup has a lot of Gen 3 babies. There's 5 of them even. Technically, I could get all of them, or at least most of them in Emerald, but it was kinda blowing. I didn't want to hand out all of the squad in one game, damn it. And I also wanted to play the GameCube and the Lolo games, which I never played before this challenge. So, I devised my little trajectory as such. Pokemon Colosseum, we start by saving Absol. Pokemon Emerald, we collect our lovely Mudkip and clear the link using both him and Absol. Pokemon XZ, we receive a free EV and save Ralts and Mawile. Pokemon Diamond, we may now evolve Curlia into Gallade, EP. Pokemon Soul Silver, just for the Vine, also to find that fucking red guy. Pokemon Black 2, we get a tiny little Snivy and participate in a lot of activities. Gen 5 was fun, holy shit. Pokemon Y, or XZ, he gets ribbons and a brand new type. With this and Pokemon Half Sapphire, we get to Mega Evolve more than half our team, what the fuck. And Pokemon Moon, I discovered the joys of Alola, including Poplio, which, unfortunately, replaces Serperior on the main team after that. More on the Switch games later. As you can see, it's a ton of games, and doing all those transfers require a bit of equipment. Here's what I had before starting this challenge. A new 3DS XL, a Tank DS, and copies of Pokemon Y, Alpha Sapphire, and Moon. Now here's what I had to buy. A Game Boy Advance. A Wii compatible with GameCube games. It is, in fact, way cheaper than a GameCube over here. A JBA to GameCube link cable. 2 actually, cause the first one I bought was ass. A Pokemon Emerald cartridge. 2 actually, cause the first one I bought was fake. Then cartridges of Diamond, Soul Silver, and Black too. You may notice that I don't mention how I procured 2 of these games, 2 very quite notoriously expensive games. It's simple. I asked my buddy Eric, Dum Dum. Then came the problem with the Switch games. Remember the whole National Dex thing? Yeah, the Switch games don't contain the entire Pokédex in their entries, which is a shame, but especially so for this entire challenge. Not having access to the team, or at least the entire team, kinda impacts the whole gathering up my friends and going up on adventures together aspect. When I first drafted this challenge, I thought I'd just figure it out on the go, and this is how I've decided. Pokemon Sword I thought to skip at first, but Popplio's prophetic arrival saves us from hell. All Pokemons, including Popplio, are actually compatible with Sword. That means we can actually have a full party, so I've played Sword. Legends Arceus? Okay, it's kinda rough because only Sylveon and Gallade got their visitors and passports to Hisui, but I wanted to try the game. So yeah, I went dead in spite of it. Scarlet and Violet, I'm not sure right now. At the time of the recording, this is the only game I've not played. I don't know if I will. Time will tell. I don't know. That's all the context and rule set you need to know before I yap incessantly at you. If you end up doing this challenge yourself, I'd be delighted to hear about it. And, regardless, I'd be super happy if you stayed around to listen to what I have to say next. Subscribe and bells and all of that. I wanted to name this little play and create endeavor of mine after something. Anything to make sure I could discuss it if someone were ever to hear of it. I decided to call the Living Legend Challenge after the title you get from the ribbon obtained by defeating Red. It's a tad pompous, but I am self-indulgent and almost proud. Almost. Anyways, see you next time.